Hello, people watching car reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the 2023 Ford Bronco Sport Heritage Edition. This special tribute edition is a commemoration of the original Broncos in the 1960s with the paint styling cues taken from a condiment section. So today, I'm gonna get this thing up in the air. We're gonna nerd out in the tech specs, see how it's constructed, go take it off-road and give it the beans. This has got some short overhangs and pretty nice angle right here. The bumper should be good for departure and approach angle. First up, this little Bronco Sport is capable of towing a whopping 2,200 pounds. That's about how much a trailer weighs. Starting in the rear, the Bronco Sport comes with the Dana twin clutch rear differential unit with a 3.81 final drive ratio. It's the same unit you get in the Maverick Tremor and is capable of torque vectoring left to right 100% to either wheel when needed. Just like the Maverick, the Bronco Sport has an independent double lateral link with semi-trailing arm rear suspension. The lower arms are constructed out of aluminium, but everything else is done in steel. Ford branded twin tube rear damper and a divorced coil spring. They're just friends with benefits, in case you're wondering. Don't act like you're shocked that I made that joke. Rear anti-sway bar measures in at approximately 22 millimeter in diameter. The Bronco Sport, along with the Maverick, is built on Ford's C2 platform, which essentially is a reincarnated Ford Focus chassis. And this Heritage Limited all-wheel drive model is the heaviest configuration, weighing in at 3,707 pounds, which is surprisingly enough 100 pounds less than a Maverick Tremor. Exhaust is all stainless steel in construction. Drive shaft is raw, untreated steel, however. Just like the Maverick, the Bronco Sport with the 2-liter is only available with one transmission. That is the 8F35 8-speed automatic, rated for a maximum torque input of 350 Newton meters, which is only 257 pound-feet, 20 less pound-feet than the engine produces. Being that it's a transversely mounted drivetrain configuration, maintenance back here less than enjoyable, especially with all this sharp-ass sheet metal. Jeez. As far as the all-wheel drive system goes, the clutch-based system has electronic controls inside to lock the center and rear differentials, and it will transfer up to 70% available torque to the rear wheels along with that torque vectoring. You do get a fairly rugged aluminum skid plate with the Heritage Edition. Up front, you get a McPherson strut-style suspension with an aluminum lower control arm, a steel knuckle, and again another Ford-branded twin-tube coilover front damper. Front anti-sway bar measures in at 24 millimeter, also different than the Maverick. Just like the rear, you got really short overhangs and a nice cut to the front bumper for increased approach angle. It's time for the braking test. See what this inside-out hard-boiled egg can do. No one behind me? Ready? Oh, Jesus! Why did I come out of the seat? Stopping distance was a little longer than I expected, but it had quite a bit of, it has an ejection seat. I don't know why I came up out of my seat. I think I stood up. I think I'm broken. That braking was just made possible thanks to a single piston floating caliper with a 12.8 inch or 325 millimeter front rotor. The wheels, which look like white painted Steelies, they're not. They're actually alloys. They're a 17 by 7.5 with a positive 37.5 millimeter offset, wrapped in a set of two 35/65 17-inch Falcon Wild Peak all-terrain tires, essentially a 29. I love these wheels. I'm like so obsessed with them. They're cute. They have a little black Bronco center cap. It's got that kind of hard to keep clean carpeted inner fender liners for noise reduction. More carpeted inner fender liners in the rear. Out back, things get a little bit smaller with another single piston floating caliper and an 11.9 inch or 302 millimeter rear rotor. The wheel and tire, same size you get up front. In the name of science, I am now going to give this thing the beans. Bolstering check. No. Not really any bolstering to these seats. They're good looking seats though, and they're also heat-elated, as well as the steering wheel is heated because this is the limited trim of the Heritage. As far as GOAT modes go, I can rotate this dial right here and go from normal to eco to sport to slippery, and then the others are for off-road. I'll get to those later. I'm going to leave it in sport. All the buttons that are associated with driving are located right next to the GOAT mode dial, which is really handy. So I got my traction control right there as well. Hold for advanced track off. I also have a button in the center of the drive selector knob that I can put this thing into manual mode and use the paddle shifters. However, for this test, I'm just gonna leave it in full auto and let this thing eat, see what it can do. Ready? Go. Yeah. Definitely some torque management between the shifts. You can feel it just dip and kind of die down. Pulls pretty hard though. The fake sounds don't sound too bad either. It sounds throaty and mean. Hood pop. Ding ding ding. Oh, you gotta do it twice on the Bronco Sport. Double hood pop. The reason why this has the double pop for the hood inside is because there is nothing to reach under here and try to lift up on. Underneath the hood of the 2023 Ford Bronco Sport is the 2-liter EcoBoost all aluminum, dual overhead cam, single turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 250 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 277 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. To help combat heat soak, you got plastic intake manifold, plastic charge pipe, plastic valve cover, plastic everywhere. Holy crap, look at the size of this cavity down here. You could store all kinds of hidden things. Digging a little bit deeper on the Generation 2 Ford EcoBoost 2.0, this has a forged crank, forged powder metal rods, cast aluminum pistons, an 87.5 by 83.1 millimeter board stroke with a 10.0 to 1 compression ratio. It employs Ford's TI VCT, which is their form of variable valve timing on both intake and exhaust. It is direct inject only, no port fuel injection to help keep the back of the valves clean. And while you can't see it, tucked underneath this wiper cowl is the single twin scroll turbocharger. Not the easiest to access, and maintenance in this engine bay would be meh. You guys know by now I have what's called the Rally Special Stage, a little area out in the desert where I like to test vehicles' off-road endurance capabilities. And so far, the best vehicle I think I've tested yet on this little stage was the Ford Maverick Tremor. So today, we're gonna see how this little Heritage Bronco Sport does. As far as off-road modes go, I have slippery, I guess that counts as off-road, mud and ruts, sand, and rock crawl. We'll go with sand. That automatically locks the center diff. I'm gonna turn off my advanced track. Automatically brings up a trail. This thing's got trail cams. I want trail cams. All right, let's see what this thing can do. Ready? Let it eat. Oh yeah. This is gonna be just like the Maverick, I can already tell. Ooh. Maybe a little better than the Maverick, actually. Oh yeah. I wonder if essentially making this thing into a wagon has made it a little bit more stiff, a little more rigid on this. God, this thing is so nimble off-road. This is insane. I mean, there's probably a lot of Focus RS DNA into this thing. Look at that. Completely sideways, in control around that corner. This thing is such a blast off-road. For the hill climb test, I'm choosing a hill that has caused the most failures of this style transversely mounted all-wheel drive systems. So let's see if this can do. I don't think a crossover-based all-wheel drive vehicle has climbed this yet. I think sand still makes sense because it's so slick right here. I am gonna lock my rear differential though. Traction control is still off, not touching tire pressures. Let's see if this thing can do it. And I'm gonna go slow. I'm not gonna get a run up at it either. Are you serious? It didn't even challenge it. It wasn't even a challenge. Are you fucking kidding? Tires make the biggest difference off-road, I swear. I don't even know where do I go down? I can't even see. I'm gonna enable my hill descent control. Set the speed to the cruise control button. I'll put it on 1 mile per hour. My trail cam is coming in clutch. I've only ever done this hill once before, and that was in the Bronco Wild Track, and it was terrifying going down it. I'm not gonna take the most aggressive line. So, all right, I gotta let off the brake pedal and trust this thing. It's nerve-wracking. Ooh, geez. Woo! I don't know, I was over 20 degrees by a lot. I'm at 21 right here, but I'm already past the worst part. 22, 23, 25. The trail control was a little too quick right back there. I had it set at 1 mile per hour. I would have liked it a little slower than that. I could have used a brake, but a little bit of gravel pit action. This is always a fun test. I'm gonna stop in the middle of this. Oh, I don't like this at all. All right, don't get stuck. Oh yeah. No problem. This area is a little deep. And stop. I felt it dig in deep that time. No problem. This right here is smart. So to the left of the camera, you can open up just the glass, or to the right of the camera, you can open up the entire door. Ta-da! The rear storage area on this thing is actually pretty good size. I mean, I can shove my camera gear all the way underneath this little shelf table doodad, which is sweet. You can fold it out. How do I fold you out? It's got measurements on the bottom of it and table legs. Well, this is confusing. Spread these little legs, so he said. And there. Now the shelf. Wait, I can lock it in right here, I think. There's some little notches right there. I can lock this thing in. Now the little table shelf protrudes from the back of the Bronco a bit, and you could use it for cooking or preparing food on. There's even a little AC power inverter to plug in the tiniest toaster ever, 400 watts. Dude, this thing has a ton of headroom. This is crazy. There's a little hieroglyph on the side of the seat. No way! That is so crazy. Does this do it too? No. There's a handle, and there's like a secret storage compartment inside there. That is so cool. What is this? Whoa! And it comes out so you can wash it. You could put fish in there. Those little pouches on the side for the TV remote. Little tweeter. I wish this illuminated. Zipper pouch. That is super nice. It feels so well made. The moly things in the back. You could stick, I don't know, a pencil in there. USB-Cs, little AC power inverter. So the Heritage Edition has rubber flooring with carpeted mats. So the floors are super easy to clean. I love that they didn't put carpet in this thing. It's because the roof actually bumps up here in the back, kind of like an old Land Rover or Range Rover. That is adorable. They actually made the little Bronco plaque match the grille of the truck with white and red font. Love that. It has a beige headliner, which is kind of easy to get dirty and something you're gonna be taking off-road. I just noticed it has a built-in garage door opener buttons in the shade. The seats are memory as well. I love that they actually give you some traditional buttons and dials down here instead of having to do everything on the screen. The infotainment screen is actually appropriately sized for the size of the dash. It doesn't look like this massive tablet that's just tacked on here. The Bang & Olufsen sound system in the Bronco Sport better than I do the full-size Bronco. The vent dial controls are rubber, they're texturized, and they're actually kind of satisfying to turn. The hatch release button actually looks like a little Bronco Sport. Little wireless charge pad, USB-A, USB-C. No, don't get me wrong, I actually like the little Heritage Edition, and this limited all-wheel drive trim has tons of tech features and safety features and little luxury touches. I love the fact that the dash and the plastics in here almost have the slightest little blue hue to them, and it complements the brown leather interior and the yellow exterior in a weird way that doesn't actually make sense, but it just looks good together. It's a good looking interior. It's expensive, and you're getting into the price of a larger removable top Bronco. See, I almost called it a real Bronco again. I don't really know how to differentiate the two, and I think it's kind of a miss by not calling this thing a Bronco 2. Calling it Bronco Sport just is too confusing. Fuel economy wise, it's all dependent on how you drive this thing. It can sway wildly depending on if you're in sport mode and giving it the beans all the time, or in eco and just babying it and not letting it idle that often. If I had to summarize the difference between a Bronco Sport and a Bronco, if you're the type of person that would prefer a mule over a Clydesdale because you need to get to the bottom of the canyon and you don't care how, and the Clydesdale Bronco will get it done like a champ, whereas this will do it, but it'll also do lots of other things like eat oats and bananas, and it can't reproduce. I'm not a horseologist. I'm just gonna stick to car stuff. So where does the 2023 Bronco Sport rack up on the scoreboard? Beans, cookies, wrenches, off-road meatballs. I'm standing out in the middle of a desert by myself, yelling meatballs at a camera on a stick, pointing at nothing. I feel like a fucking idiot. Penguins. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.